Hi guys, if you're just joining us, my name is Oyeyinka. I work as a community manager and growth advocate at Cowrywise. And Dolapo Amusan is a product manager at Cowrywise and a guru with Excel. So today, he's going to be walking us through Excel, and I'm really excited because I feel like I have a lot to learn. I don't know about you, but if you're here, I'm sure it's because you want to learn a lot about Excel too. So we are going to get started now so as not to waste much more time. And yeah. So hi Dolapo, good afternoon. How are you
feeling? Good afternoon.
How are you feeling today? Thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to learn from you today, and I'm sure everyone already has their pen, their laptop in front of them, and paper, whatever it is that you can jot on and note with. I'm sure that everyone already have it because I do have it, and I'm really excited to learn from you today. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Oye. I'm excited to be here, excited to have our attention for the next 1 hour and for us to really pass some value. So as Oye has introduced me, I'm a product manager at Cowrywise, and I use data a little, so I don't know so much about being the guru, but I mean, who knows? I might get here and I have to bring out my pen and paper and learn a lot from everyone here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so my slide is up. Great. Good to see that. So, like I said, Dolapo Amusan, product manager, and it's just titled "I'm getting started with Excel." What we can do today really is just a basic understanding. It still, to an extent, Excel needs like every skill. You still need to do your practice. You need to get better at it. But I believe that by the time we're done here, 1 hour from now, you'd have a very good foundation and know how to focus your learning in Excel. All right, so let's begin, and I would want us to do a little poll. So a poll is going to be launched just about now, and I mean it's going to take us like maybe like 30 seconds to answer the question. So we can just select the particular one, the particular option. So Oye, would you mind launching the poll now? Okay, some people are already answering in the chat, so I can see that Dorcas says she's an A. She's asking, Dorcas says, what is Microsoft Excel? Okay, I have a few C's here, all right, which is I know a few formulas, all right. Yetunde says she can do 2+2. Okay, cool. Okay, so I think I've been able to get a feel of the room right now. So a lot of people are in the I can see a lot of B's, I can see a lot of C's, very few A's. So I think that really sets the backdrop for how we're going to learn today. And I'm glad a number of us really have a very good idea of this. All right. So before I go in, this is an image I have here from someone who works in tech. I think, yeah, this is another picture of someone who works in the tech space. And I just want to ask the question of who here is interested in working in tech? So you can just do by show of hands. You can raise your hand on the. Okay, so I have 3 hands up. Okay, 14, 15, 18, 21. 28. If you're not putting your hands up, I'm going to assume that you're not interested in working in tech at all. Okay, so I have about 35. Okay, I have someone who says I'm not really interested, and of course that's very understandable. Tech is hot right now. Yes, doesn't necessarily mean that tech is the only thing about. So I totally agree with Aisha, who says that she's not really interested there. All right, so cool. And the reason why I asked this question as a backdrop to us actually getting into the entire talk today is because there are a lot of reasons why people are interested in working in tech, all right? So just let's look at this next slide. And I honestly just wanted to tell me which one of this is like the reason why you are like very interested in working in tech. For those of us, for like the 30, 40 of us who are like very interested in working in tech, like what's the reason? And any of this reasons, it's fine for you to say, oh yeah, this is the reason why. So I just really want to like know in the chat section, which of these reasons resonates. Okay, working from my bed, yeah, someone says just making a shit ton of money. True. Working from bed, money. Oh yeah, Ogolua, the money option is the one in the middle. All right. The money, you don't need to leave your house. Cool. Fulfillment out of the box. Someone says everything. That's HP. All right. Okay, making a lot of money. It's cool and to make money. Okay, so that's Francis. A happy work environment. And Yola says that. Abigail says to make impact. Creativity and cool. Money and sneakers. I mean, I'm glad someone said sneakers because I mean it's one of the cool things that I personally like anyway. Xavier says everything. Esther says improving the health space with tech. Working from my bed. Finally, someone says comfy hoodie. I put it there for a reason. So cool. All right. So this was just to get the mood, get everyone involved, get everyone participatory. So yes, these are all, let's face it, they're all valid reasons why we all want to work, why working in tech is a very it's a very attractive option. All right. Now, but here's now the thing. Sometimes when we think about the people who work in tech, it's very easy for us to just look at the guys who do coding, who code, who program, who are called developers, all right? But then I just want to like really highlight this important triad, which is the three aspects of having technical skills in order to work in a tech firm, work in tech really anywhere in the world. And so it goes beyond just development. Development is what everybody seems to know. But there is also the part of the design, and then there's a part of data. So I'm highlighting this because someone might be thinking, oh yeah, I think I want to have a career in tech, but I actually cannot code. I can't write one line of code to save my life. All right. So I just really want to highlight this, that coding is not the only way into tech. There are two other often neglected parts. So there's a design part, there's a data part. And if I could highlight a few job descriptions in these different areas. So for data, for example, a machine learning engineer, a cloud architect, database administrator, coding will be the front-end developer, the back-end developer. For design, you look at product designer and illustrator. All these elements are very important in making the entire tech ecosystem work. And I just really want to highlight that data is also a path into a very successful and a very important tech career. All right, I hope someone got something from that, right? And one thing for me is I've realized that data analysis is actually a differentiating skill in any industry. So data analysis goes beyond, I want to work in tech, all right? Because here's the thing, the world right now, every single sector is collecting data. Every single sector, it doesn't matter what that sector is. The transport sector, the logistical sector, health, tourism, farming, every single sector, education, whatever it is, name it, every single sector right now is collecting data. And that means that every sector needs people to come in to clean up that data, to analyze it, to bring insight out of it, and help the policymakers and help the business managers make decisions from that data. So data analysis is a skill that is useful even outside of tech. So I've been able to prove to you how that, yes, it is great. It is a great path into a tech career. But even if you're not interested in working in tech at all, data analysis will serve you in any industry that you are in. A bit of the background for me is I'm actually a medical doctor. I trained in Ife, graduated, I practiced clinically. And one of the things that helped me in my career, especially when I joined a health insurance firm, was the fact that I could actually do data analysis. So it was a springboard for me into tech. Data analysis, I knew I was confident around data, even as a medical doctor. And that really helped me to make a transition. And right now, I'm working in a fintech. So it's a very, very critical skill. Right now in the world, we talk about big data, we talk about AI, we talk about machine learning. All those things boil down to, can you make sense of a huge chunk of data? So data analysis, a differentiating skill. And one reason why I believe that learning Excel is a wonderful start is because while many companies right now may not necessarily use Excel for their analysis, understanding Excel is where everything actually starts from. So if you hear about any of all these programs, Tableau for data visualization, Python for coding, Python also for data analysis, Alteryx, SQL, all that. The people who are excellent at all these programs right now actually started from learning Excel. There's no single person who can say, oh yeah, I'm great at Python, or I'm great at R, I'm wonderful at Power BI, Tableau, SQL, that cannot, that will not be able to trace their data analysis path down to Excel. So Excel is a wonderful place to start learning data analysis and to really get into data. So I just really wanted to set that backdrop for us so that we understand how important it is to develop ourselves as far as data analysis is concerned. All right. I just want to, I as much as possible, I try to keep looking at the charts just so that I'm keeping up with everything everyone said. Okay, so like I said, some medical students want to learn how to use data. Great. I'm glad you're here to learn that. Awesome. So we can then jump into the meat of what we're learning today. So the outline for today is, these are the things that we're going to be learning. We'll be learning clean data rules. We'll be learning the types of Excel data. We'll be learning how to navigate Excel. We'll learn referencing, very important. And then we'll understand the difference between formulas and functions, all right? Now, one thing I like to do when I'm communicating is I like to say what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. So there are things that we are not going to do today. So for example, financial modeling or building a dashboard or macros and VBA. So if you came here today hoping you're going to learn this, we cannot, because it's beyond the scope of this current masterclass, and also because this is more of an introductory class, all right? So this more advanced, you can always try to learn that on your own, even after you've gotten a hang of the basics. All right, so let me start here. And it's that, and this is the basic layout of an Excel spreadsheet, all right? So the way you should approach an Excel is see Excel like a book, all right? And it actually follows the way the entire naming is done. So an Excel file is actually called a workbook. So the way you have files that are, so the way a Word document will be .doc or docx, and a PowerPoint file will be .ppt, all right? An Excel file would usually be .xlsx or .xls, and it's called, so that's called a workbook, all right? So a workbook. And just like every normal book, every book has sheets inside of it. So when you open the file, there are sheets inside the Excel, inside the Excel sheet, inside the Excel workbook rather. And I'm sure by default, you'll notice that when you open up your Excel file, a brand new Excel file, you'll notice that it usually has 3 sheets. So there's sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. That's the default that it's usually set into it. And in every sheet, it's divided into rows and columns. All right. So the rows are the horizontal parts of the spreadsheet, and then the columns are the vertical ones. And everywhere a row intersects with a column is called a cell. And cells are identified by the notation of the column and the row. Column and the row. All right. Columns are in alphabet, so A, B, C, D, E, like that, and rows are in numbers. So you can see I've highlighted a few on this slide right now. You can see I've highlighted a few cells. So cell B3 here is on column B, and it's in row 3, and that's why it's called cell B3. Cell A7 is in column A, row 7. D10 is column D, row 10, and like that. So that's how you identify the different cells within an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to provide the slides so that we can always go through them later on. But please feel free to take notes as you go along. And also you can put your questions in the chat box. I will try to keep my eye on the chat box so that I can answer any questions that you may have. So, all right. Now, in terms of number of rows and columns, all right. So a spreadsheet has rows, has columns. How many rows are in an Excel spreadsheet? How many columns? So in the number of rows is actually, and this might vary based on the version of Excel that you have. I think the version I used in preparing this was maybe 2019 in the Excel for Mac, and it's over 1 million rows. So there are over 1 million rows in one Excel spreadsheet. And remember I said by default, when you open a workbook, they'll give you 3, there'll be 3 sheets by default. And you can create as much as 255 sheets in one workbook. I think that's the limit, 255. And each sheet has 1 million rows. So meaning you're looking at 1, 2, 3. If you try to scroll down to the bottom, you're getting about 1,048,576. And then for columns, there are 16,000 columns. All right. So when you do, so the way Excel labels it is, it goes from A, B, C, D, and then when it gets to Z, it goes to AA, AB, AC, AD, and then when it gets to ZZ, it now goes to AAA, AAB, AAC, and then it goes on like that up till XFD. So that's about 16,000 columns. When you multiply that together, total number of cells, that gives you 17 billion cells in one sheet. Okay, and I'm highlighting this because it's really infinite in a sense. Like you really can't, excuse me, you really can't run out of cells. All right, and this is important when you're trying to organize stuff. When you're trying to present your data, keep that abundance mindset, abundance mentality. Just keep it in mind that you have plenty cells. Don't try to cram two data points into one cell. Cell is plenty in every Excel sheet. Abdulafiz says it's keeping. Is that happening for everybody else, or is it a local thing to Abdulafiz? Please, can you confirm that you can hear me clearly? Can just confirm in the chat, please. Okay, everyone, okay, you can hear me. All right, awesome. I'm glad you can hear me. Great. So we've been able to address number of rows, number of columns. All right. So let's look at rules of clean data. One of the first rules here is, and I'll open up my Excel sheet, and we're going to go through all these rules one by one. Label everything as much as possible. try to keep your Excel spreadsheet as labeled as possible, all right? Try to use only one data type per column and try to use one table per sheet. Like I said, remember there's an abundance mindset. Don't try to cram everything in one sheet. I've worked in a number of corporate settings where this, as simple as it may sound, it makes the difference between someone who is a great data analyst and someone who everyone just feels like they have a shoddy work. All right. So I think it's something that you want to like imbibe as you get started on your data analysis journey. Another here is stay as close as possible to the left. By the time I open up the Excel, we'll be able to practicalize all these different rules. There are no potholes, meaning keep your data as compact as possible. Don't hide anything. If you know the hide feature, as much as possible, don't use it. And then beauty is the last step. All right. So I'm going to, let me open up my, okay, great, we can. So talking about whether data is clean or not. So let me zoom, no, I think I'm good. So we can all see. So this data, as you're seeing it right now, is not clean. And I can go through all the different points one by one, all right? It doesn't have a header, all right? So I can tell that right here in this column C is dates, because if you look at it, it looks like a date function, 1/6/2020, that looks like date. So it doesn't have, so because this doesn't have the correct headers, it's inappropriate. All right, so that's one. Another rule I'd put there was, as much as possible, stay close to the left, meaning I'm asking myself, why is column A and B empty here? I mean, why is this data not starting right? Like this, everything should start at A1 as much as possible. All right. Then when I said potholes, so potholes are places in your data where stuff is missing, and it just really messes things up. And things like this really make your Excel analysis like very, very difficult. Another one I also want to highlight here is don't hide stuff. So if you let me zoom in a bit so that you can. Okay, so if you see, if you look at this column, so there's A, B, C, D, E, F, and then from F it goes to I. So you can't see columns G and H, and that's because I have hidden column G and H here. So hiding is dangerous because sometimes the person who hid it, knows that, oh yeah, that column is hidden. But then if someone else picks up your sheet and then they just don't know that, oh, that there's something hidden there, and it can really mess up the analysis. In fact, let me go ahead and click on this, and then you can now see that there was data in G and H all along. But then because this is very unclean data, it's I don't even know what this is. I don't know what 95 means. I don't know what this 1.99 means. I don't know what this 189.05 means. And for hiding, you can hide on columns as well as on rows. If you also look here, you can see that 7, 8, and then from 8 it jumps to 22. So that's because rows 9 to 21 are also hidden. So if I go ahead and click this, you can now see that all that was hidden there now shows up. So let me show us what the clean version of this data looks like. So this is what it looks like. It has the header. It starts from A1. There are no spaces anywhere. All right. If you have data that you think, oh, it's empty, I don't have anything there, it's better to put 0 than to leave it empty, because Excel can deal with 0. It cannot deal with an empty cell. Someone says, Emanuela says she can't see my screen. Is that for everyone? Can anyone else see my screen, please? Okay, so I have people who can see my screen. Maybe Emanuela might need to do a refresh or something. Okay. Okay, so everyone, most people can see my screen. Great. Please, I hope you're following me. Please just let me know in the chat if you're following me and if everything I've said makes sense so far. And if you're learning anything, so just let me know that you're learning. All right. So I got people following me. Great. So this right here, I've been able to show us what the clean version, let me zoom out a little. I'm going to show us what the clean version of this particular data looks like. So you can see it is well labeled. You can see that, oh, this is what's in column A is the order date, B is the region, C is the name of the rep, D is the item that this person maybe had sold, for example. E is the number of units, F is the unit cost, and then G here is the total. So I'm gonna assume that G is the multiplication of what is in E and F. All right. So very important. This is what clean data looks like. This is what and this is what data that is not clean is. As much as possible, you want your work to be organized. And being organized in Excel, very, very important. If you don't do the work of organizing what you're doing from the start, you will get to the middle and you realize that, oh, I need to fix this thing. And you have to do double work. So it's always best to organize right from the start. All right. Please confirm you're still following me and you are learning something. All right, great. Okay, so let me go back to my presentation. All right, cool. So that's rules of clean data. We've been able to address this. And like I said, beauty is the last step. As much as possible, let your analysis make sense, let your calculations make sense before you start bothering about, oh, I want to paint it, I want it to look good, I want to apply colors. I've learned the hard way that those are not the things that matter, especially in data analysis. Beauty is the last step. Like let everything make sense before you worry about how beautiful the analysis is. So in Excel, there are 4 types of data. All right, and I'll open up my Excel sheet shortly also. So there's what you call, there's number, there's text, there's Boolean, and there's error messages. So I'll just quickly run through and then we'll now open the slides and we'll open the spreadsheet and practicalize every one of them. So there's number. Numbers can be used to perform maths calculations, all right? And numbers are usually right aligned. So meaning they're aligned to the right of your cell. And dates can also be numbers. So a number is, if I write 7 as 7, that's a number. But if I type 7 as SEVEN, that's not a number, that's a text, all right? And it's only numbers that Excel can use to perform calculation, all right? So that's one number. The next is, so one frequently asked question around numbers is that if you type a date, it sometimes appears as a number. Has anybody ever experienced this before, where you type a date and it appears as a number? Anyone? Okay, so a few people have experienced that. And the reason for that is actually because as far as, so let me open up a new sheet now, all right? And then I'm going to zoom in a bit. So let's say I want to type today's date. Today is on the 14th of August. So I think this convention might be, all right. So this is 14th of August, 2021, which is today. And sometimes Excel might just give me that as a number. And then so the number, so if this was going to appear as a number, it will be 44,422. And the reason for this is for every date in history, all right, Excel actually assigns a number to it. And the start date, let me see what that start date is. So if I do 1 and change this to dates. So the start date here is, this is December 31st, 1899. So the idea is December 31st, 1899. For if you're using Excel, now, let me just add something in here. I'm currently using Google Sheets. So I'm using Google Sheets for this training, but everything that you learn here, you can apply to Excel. I prefer to use Google Sheets because it's more powerful and it's able to run faster on the system. And also because it's very collaborative. Tricia says she can't hear anything. Maybe Tricia needs to possibly get her sound sorted. All right. So I'm using Google Sheets, but everything that you're learning here, you can easily take them into Microsoft Excel. So the idea here is this particular date. I think in Microsoft Excel, this instead of 12/31/1899, I think it's actually the 1st of January 1900. So I think that's what's on Microsoft Excel. So Google Sheets considers this as day 1, while Microsoft Excel considers the 1st of January 1900. So the idea is, starting from that date, every single date after that is just given an extra 1. So that's why today is day 44,422 after December 31st, 1899. So if you ever type a date and Excel converts it into a number, it's simply because Excel is just trying to figure out how many days from that reference date, the date that you entered is. And that's important because that's how Excel actually calculates stuff like you want to know what's 3 days from now, what's 5 days ago, what's 1 month, what date was 60 days ago, all those things. That's how Excel calculates it. So if you ever have that issue, that is how it goes. So talking about how that numbers are always right aligned, let me delete this. So you'll see that if I type 1, so watch that, you can see that my 1 is on this side of the box, but by the time I press enter, it moves over to the other side. So this is what I mean by numbers are usually, by default, they are aligned to the right. So if I type, let me type a large number here, you'd also notice that it moves over to this side. However, if I typed ONE, which is 1, you'll notice that it stays on the left. So that's because text is by default left aligned. Number, right aligned. Text, left aligned. Oh yeah, and Habibot says that Google Sheets is slick. I totally agree. It's Google Sheets. It's amazing. You can really run powerful stuff on it. Your Google Sheets will never hang, but Excel possibly hangs a lot. All right. So for number, right aligned by default, this can also be numbers. And so we'll address this on FAQ here. Another FAQ here is when you try to type a phone number, and then Excel removes the first 0. So typing a phone number, can anybody hazard a guess as to why, if I type 082 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, why would Excel, when I press enter, why would Excel remove the 0 in front of it? You can just type in the chat and I'll be able to see your responses. Yeah, okay, so Aisha says numbers don't start with 0. That's, so country code, it's seen as a digit insignificant, right? Bethel, an excellent point. Yeah, because a whole number can start with 0. So the idea here is whenever you type a phone number, so you're probably trying to keep some records, and then a phone number is a valid record that you need to keep, right? And then you type 080, and then Excel is like, why are you putting a 0 in front of 80? And it takes it off. That's what happens. And that's because Excel has seen that particular phone number as a number. So to Excel, to you see this as, this is an Airtel number, all right? I think I think it's to, okay. So you see this as an Airtel number, is an 0802-123-4568. Excel actually sees this as a whole number, which is 8,021,234,568. All right. So very important that you and Excel, you stay on the same page. So what I usually do when I'm trying to type a number like this, so 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I want Excel to keep it as in this case, you want your phone numbers to be kept as text, because you don't need your phone numbers to be recorded as a number, simply because you will never need to do a calculation on a phone number. There's no, I can't do my phone number times 5. Like it's not a useful thing. So what I just easily do is I put an apostrophe. So you can see me put an apostrophe right there in front of the 0. And by the time I press enter, it's going to keep it there. So that's just a very nifty trick that I use whenever I'm trying to put numbers into, I'm trying to record numbers. Just put an apostrophe in front of it, and that takes care of it. So if you ever see someone come across this problem of, I type a phone number and Excel took it out, then this is the reason why. So after numbers, next is text. So if anything contains an alphabet, Excel identifies it as text, and it will left align. It will ensure that it's left aligned by default. And text cannot be used for math calculations. All right. So what I did when I added an apostrophe in front of this, I converted it to a text, because the moment you add any letter in the alphabet, so the moment I put, so this 1, for example, if I do, let's say I put 1A, you're going to see it's taking it back over there, because this is now text. This is no longer a number. 1A is text, because the moment it contains one alphabet, it's considered as text. Okay, so we know numbers now, we know text. The next one would be Boolean. Now, Boolean is very interesting. Boolean is true or false, and that's the best way I can just simply explain it. There are times when Excel just wants to know, is something true or is it false? Is it yes or is it no? And Boolean is the particular term that we use for it. So let me clear this out. So if you type any text, so for example, if I type the word Excel, it's seen as text, and you can see that it is left aligned, all right? If I type the word Word, for example, or Word Microsoft, it is seen as text. It is also left aligned. However, there are 2 words in the English dictionary that are not identified as text, and these are true and false. So you'd see when I type true, you would expect that when I press enter, it should stay left aligned. But you see, look at what happens. It came to the middle. That's because in the English dictionary, the word true and false are not considered as text. Excel considers them as Boolean. So it uses these 2 words to identify stuff that it needs to turn on, turn off in a way. All right. So just know that if you ever type in text and you realize that true and false, you're having issues with it, it's because those are words that Excel identifies. Excel has reserved them for a specific purpose. All right. So if I type the word false also, you see it also center aligns, and it even capitalizes them. So it changes. So remember, so if I type in small letters, Excel is going to convert it to capital letters. If I type it in small letters here, it's also converted. So it doesn't identify this as text. It takes a Boolean. All right. And let me just show you a very quick way. I use this true and false Boolean thing in especially in Google Sheets. So let me do that data validation, and then I say checkbox, for example. So so this true and false can easily be converted into a checkbox. And that way I can say, is it checked or not? So you can see, so when it is checked, so it means all these 4 boxes right now are actually true, all right? If I uncheck this has now become a false. This has become false, you get. So that's the purpose of Boolean. to just check stuff. Is it true? Is it false? Is it yes? Is it no? In that sense. So we've covered number, we've covered text, we've covered Boolean. The fourth type of data type you'll ever see is error. And error just tells you, as simple as that, there's an error. Something is wrong. You've not done something properly. You get it. It indicates a problem with the logic, the notation, or calculation. A very good one is, and we all know that you cannot divide any number by 0. All right. So if I do equals to, for example, let me do 4 divided by 2. We know that that should give me the answer 2. So when I press enter, I get an answer 2. That's cool. But if I do equals to 4 divided by 0, it's going to give me an error because you cannot divide something by 0. So it gives you a div/0 error. So that's an example of an error. All right. So now we know all the various data types. Francis wants me to do something again. What's that, please? Oh, how I changed true and false? Okay, so let me just. So it's called data. It's a data validation. So let me. I'm highlighting these 4 boxes. I go to data and I go to data validation, and then I go to criteria. I change it to list from a range, and then I change it to checkbox. So when I save that, this has now become a true false data validation tool for a checkbox. So when I can tick, I can do that. And so that's it. I hope you got that. So it's Boolean. So this is me implementing the Boolean data type here. So a formula in Excel is different from a function, all right? So a formula always starts with the equal sign. Now you notice when I was going to do 4 divided by 2, I said equals to 4 divided by 2. If I did not put the equal to, Excel does not see that as a formula. Excel just probably sees that as, oh, I'm just trying to type stuff. Typing equals to is you telling Excel, okay, I'm about to have you perform a function for me, or perform an operation. So if you don't put equals to in front of something and so equal to is how you tell Excel, I'm about to give you an instruction that you need to operate on. If you type everything and I don't put equal to, Excel is just going to ignore you and just going to be looking, all right? And then I want to add here that one thing I've learned in Excel and data generally is if you're getting an error, don't be so quick to blame the computer. Don't be so quick to blame that, oh, what's wrong with this Excel? Usually 96-97% of the time, it's usually because you put in the wrong thing, all right? So it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you're getting an error, just check what you're doing. Check if you missed something. You missing as much as a dot somewhere, or not putting an equal to sign somewhere, or not closing a bracket somewhere can actually turn your perfectly written Excel formula. It can make it go bonkers, all right? So it's important that you know that you need to like just check stuff. So formulas always start with an equal sign, while functions are predefined actions that Excel is built to perform. So for example, I have here, so if you just put 3, this is not a formula, this is not a function, it's just a number. But if I put equals to 3 plus 2, now this is a formula that I've asked Excel to add 3 and 2 together. And then the answer I will always get here, it will be 5. But then I can also use a sum function. So in this third scenario, I'm asking Excel, give me a sum of these 2 numbers, 7 and 4. So this is a formula because it starts with an equal sign, and this is a formula that uses a function. This, however, was a formula. It starts with an equal sign, but did not use any function because these are like simple calculations to just perform, all right? But this is a function. So sum is one of the functions in Excel. So this is another way to do this, to do a sum. You can sum cells, okay? And I'm going to, let me open up my Google Sheet again. And then, so if I do, let's say 45, 67, right? So I can just easily say equals to what's in here plus what's in here. So you can see this is me doing the cell referencing, because what's 45 is written inside what is in B12. So you can see it's in column B, it's in row 12, and then 67 is what is in B13, which is column B, row 13. So when I press enter, it gives me the result 112. Very simple. And then the cool thing is if I go and change any of the numbers here, so let's change this to 59, for example, it automatically, this sum would automatically update. All right. So however, if I had said equals to 59 plus 67, I'll get the same result. But you see, these two are different because this here, I'm the one that entered the number myself. But in this case, I told Excel, add whatever is in this cell with whatever is in that cell. So whenever I change what's in that in any of the two cells, it automatically reflects in here. All right. So that's formulas and functions. I hope everyone is following so far. And I hope I've not said anything that has gone over our heads in any way. Please confirm. Okay, great. So Captain Chief confirms. Great. All right. So so let's just do some notations. All right. What do we think number one means? So can we just like take a guess? So just type in the. All right. So the checkbox thing is actually it's not something that Excel really implements. So it's more of the checkbox thing is more of a Google Sheets thing. All right. So what do we think number one here means? Okay, Victoria says the value in both cells is the same. Okay. So let me just run through them. Number one here means D3. What is in D3 is equals to put what I have in D3 to E3. Okay, that's cool. Thank you very much, Promise Anya. Number two means what's in A4 greater than 35. All right. Number three here is, okay, number three here is treating Lagos as text. Now remember I was putting this apostrophe here, so text. Number four, so let me just, so these are some notations. These are the answers to all these notations. A3, for example, the fourth one here, A3, cell A3 is empty. So how we identify an empty stuff is we just put two apostrophes. So you do the apostrophe and then you don't put anything there. Whilst A6 here, greater than or equal to apostrophe is not empty. So these are notations that you just have to like keep in mind as you learn Excel, because it really comes in handy for you. So the two apostrophes together without anything in between them usually means empty. And then if you do greater than equal to, that's to say it is not whatever is in front of it. So in this case, not empty. And then we've already done this. This is a formula that uses the sum function to add everything between A2 to A8. Okay, so I think that's pretty easy. Now, functions, there are a lot of functions in Excel and Google Sheets, possibly about 300, and they fall into all these different categories. But one thing I can tell you is you don't need to know all of them. The best people in Excel probably don't know and don't use up to 10% of all these functions, and that's just the truth, all right? I'm going to identify or highlight the important functions that you must know, that you need to keep an eye on. And I can see that someone is already asking for pivot tables. Very cool, very cool. That's one of the important things that you need to know. Yeah, Aisha is saying, I'm wondering why the quote marks are needed when Lagos already text. Very, very good question. I'm glad someone was able to pick up on that. You are very correct, Aisha and Yakub, because Lagos is already text. So if what I put in between those quotations was a number, then it will make more sense. It will treat whatever is in there as a text rather than as a number. But yeah, that was a very good catch for you to figure out that Lagos is already text. Why do we need to tell Excel to see it as text again? Thank you very much for that. Thank you for catching that. So these are the different types of Excel functions. You don't need to know all of them. You may not use that. There are some that I have to tell you, there are some of these things that I've never used before, and I've been using Excel for maybe like almost close to like 10 years now. So you don't need to know them. However, there are 5 critical functions that you need to know in Excel. And I'm letting you know this because if you're going for a job interview where it's been said that, oh yeah, data, maybe it's a data role, data analysis, and you need to know stuff about Excel. These are the questions that they will ask you. I remember when I did one of my first interviews for the health insurance I worked for, and very, very interesting stuff. The manager had asked, so can you rate yourself in Excel? So I said, oh yeah, I try not to be too cocky, all right? So I said, over 10, I said 6. He was like, oh, okay, cool. Then he asked me, also, can you do a VLOOKUP? I said, I don't know what that is. He asked me, can you do a pivot table? I said, what's that? Then he asked me one more question. And of course, I bombed that question. And then they said, no, you're not a 6, you're more like a 3. And I really felt terrible, but I had to go and learn all these things. So 5 critical functions that you need to know. Number 1 is VLOOKUP. Because of how short our time is, we may not be able to really cover it. But here's the thing. You can actually just take all I've listed here, put it on YouTube, and watch tutorials on them. And with that, you are able to develop and build yourself. Now, one thing I'm able to do here for you is I'm able to streamline and tell you these are the things you need to know. You don't need to know this, you don't need to know that. But this, you see these 5 functions, you must know them. You must become a guru at them, and they don't take long to learn. I can assure you that with 3-4 hours dedicated to each of these functions, you are going to catch every single one of them. So VLOOKUP is the first one. Next will be pivot tables. Then there's going to be the if formula. So the if formula, a very powerful function in Excel, where you're checking where you're asking Excel, go and check if this thing matches this criteria. If it matches it, give me this. If it doesn't match it, give me that. That's just the explanation of the if formula, and it's a very, very powerful one. Then there's also absolute and relative referencing and charts. Now, I had sent us an exercise on multiplication table. I'd like to get feedback on how it was for us to do that particular exercise. Yes, Chidema, you're going to get the slides. The slides will be made available. So, did anybody attempt the multiplication table exercise? Okay, so I have people who tried. Okay, great. So, someone said I couldn't, someone said I attempted. Awesome. All right. Not so hard, but I forgot how to do the calculation. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about referencing, all right? Because I think it's very important for us to catch how referencing happen before we go ahead and learn stuff. If there's one thing that you can pick from the masterclass, I want it to be that you understand referencing. So I'll come back to this multiplication table, all right? So let's look at this. So let's look at this particular table. So in Cowrywise, we have different investment funds, and based on, so in 2018, for example, this particular fund, the United Capital Fund, it gave a 12.9% return. So if I invested 100,000 naira, I need to know how much my returns is going to be. So can anybody tell me what formula I should enter in this cell D7 in order to know what my end returns is going to be? I'd like to see that in the chat. So you can just type it out in the chat. What you think I should type in this particular cell D7, in order to know how much returns I'm going to earn in 2018 on the United Capital Fund. Okay, so, all right, so Aisha says B7 times C7. Bukola says D7 times C7. Frances says plus B7 times C7. So Frances, you cannot start a formula with plus. So you always have to start your formulas with equal to, all right? So Frances, what you type there would not go. All right, so, oh, okay. So John says product of B7 and C7. I like that. All right, so I'm glad. So the correct, there are two, now we have two correct answers. There is equals to B7 times C7, but then John has given us an alternative here, which is equals to product of B7 and C7. And here's the beauty of Excel. Oftentimes, Yorubas have this adage that says, it is not one route that enters the market, all right, on a converger. And I've experienced that a lot in Excel. There is often more than one way to achieve a particular result. So in this case, we have two correct answers. Yeah, equals to B7 times C7, and then also doing a product of B7 and C7. Someone says sum of B7 plus C7. That will not give us the correct answer, all right? Okay, so I think I've gone through the chart. So let me do equals to, now I can either, to do B7 times C7, I can do two ways. Like I said, on a converger, there are multiple routes into the market. I can actually type B7 and then times C7. If I do that, you can see I get my answer 12,009. Or I can do equals to, and then I click. So I can click on this cell, then multiply, and then click on this cell. Okay, I can do it each other. Click on B first or C first. It doesn't really matter. So you can see I still get the same answer. And so let me see that often for, let's say, products. Okay, products. Then I select this, goes. All right, so I mean, perfect. It still works very fine. Although it took out my, I think it took out my Naira sign. Oh, so let me see if B7 times C7 preserves. Okay, so John, you can see how that using product did not put the correct currency. Instead, it saw it as a number. And here's the thing: this is how you get to learn in Excel. I honestly, I'll be frank with you. I did not know that if I did a product, that the currency was going to be taken out. And that's just how you learn in Excel every single day. All right. So correct. That's how to calculate the end returns here. Now there's one beautiful thing in Excel. If I want to do the end returns for 2019, I don't need to say, oh, B8 times C8. Or if I want to do 2020, I want to say B9 times C9. You see, because there are only 3 years here, it might be like, I mean, how difficult is it? I mean, it's just three formulas. The problem happens when you have to do 1,000. Remember I said that Excel has 1 million rows. So imagine if you had 1 million rows of data to do. So let's go to our plain data here. So that I can highlight that very briefly before we continue. So let's say we do not have our total, and then so I'm saying equals to E2 as enter, and then I'm saying equals to E3 times F3. I mean, this is going to take a while if I want to like finish this today. So what you can just do in Excel, once you put in your formula once, you can just come to the bottom right corner. So you can see when I come to my bottom right corner, let me, I'm going to zoom in to 200%. Hopefully it becomes clear. You'll notice that when I come to the bottom right corner, first, there's already one small box there. And then when I get there, my mouse cursor becomes a crosshair, a plus crosshair. And what I do is I now double click. So when I double click, it is going to apply the formula I put in that box and apply it down to the bottom. Okay, I hope we all got that. Oh yeah, Shell, the teacher has learned to. I hope we all got how I did that. Let me Ctrl Z and go back again. So once you've typed your formula once, you don't need to retype it. You can just come down here to the bottom right, so bottom right. And then when you position your mouse properly, your cursor is going to turn to a crosshair, and then you can double click. So when I double click, boom, it goes down. Now, remember I was telling you about one of the rules of clean data being do not have potholes. This is, let me just quickly show you how potholes will give you problems. Let's say, for example, this 4.99 was not here, and let's say this 1.99 was not here. You see, what I did is called a flash fill. The flash fill is what you do when you come to the bottom right, and then you double click, and then it just does everything. If your data has potholes, meaning there are spaces that are empty, watch what happens to my flash fill. My flash fill stopped right before the pothole. Like I'm using pothole in this sense to mean a cell that should have data but does not have data. Oh yeah, so Trisha, yeah, some people you can drag down, but then you can also double click. So you can do any of those. So this is the reason why, this is one of the reasons why you should not have potholes in your document, in your file, because it's going to make your analysis hard. It means what do I have to do? I have to try what Trisha is talking about here. That I have to drag. So if I drag down, so let me see if I drag down. Okay, so it's what I was able to get past that. If I double click, so it's not going. I need to drag down again. All right. Then if I now double click, so let me see. There's no pothole. So there's no pothole up to the end. So if I double click now, I'm going to be fine. So this is one of the reasons why I say don't have potholes in your data. It makes your analysis harder. If, for example, I did not have data for here, it's better for me to just put 0 and put 0. Then when I come here and double click, I'm still going to, in one click, I'm going to get everything down to the bottom. All right. I hope that was very clear. So let me zoom back out. And then, yeah, I come back here. So having learned flash fill, so flash fill is what you do when you drag down or you double click at the bottom. Having learned flash fill, I don't need to retype. I can just double click once and it gives me the answer. Yeah, so Marcus, you'll be doing drag down. Yeah, drag down works, double click at the bottom right works. I prefer the double click method because I don't need to drag down. If I have 500 rows, I don't need to drag down 500 rows. I just click once there and then it does the work for me. All right. So I believe we all got this. I hope this is very clear. Yes, Aisha. So for missing data, just put in 0. That way, your flash fill is going to work fine. So I want us. So we've been able to calculate what our returns is going to be on this particular on this United Capital Fund, and we've done our earned return. So that's cool. So let's now try something else. All right. So let's assume I'm trying to convert my Naira into pounds. Okay. And then I have been, yes, so, flash fill. So Abdulafiz, flash fill. It's called flash fill in Excel. Let me type that for you. Flash fill. So that's it, Abdulaziz. All right. So moving on to this next, yes, Dockers, you can use the flash fill method for a lot of things in Excel. You can use it. In fact, maybe I'll still show you some other features that you can use it for. So right here, I have the same United Capital Fund with this percent returns, with this amount invested, and let's say we've calculated our end returns. And I have here that the conversion rate of pounds to Naira is 623 in this cell B14. So can anybody tell me, I want to know what my end returns in pounds is going to be. Can anybody tell me what I should type? Omolola, you asked the question. Can you type it again? I think I must have missed it in the chat. Please type it again. But the question I have now is, what should I type in cell E17 to know my end returns in pounds? So I'm waiting for our responses. Oh yeah, flash fill for discount running. Well, yeah, possible. Okay, so I have my answers coming in. I have someone says E17 over 623. Someone says D17 over B14, D17 over B14. All right. Aisha says D17 times B14. I have D17 times C17. Okay. Okay, Aisha means divided. Okay. All right, so the correct answer is D17 equals to D17 divided by B14. Now, for some of us that have said divided by 623, the problem with, I'm not going to accept that answer, even though it's going to give you the correct answer, yes. The problem is what happens when the exchange rate changes. And you see, this is where working smart in Excel comes into play. Because when the exchange rate changes tomorrow, you would have to, and God help you if you are typing it in 100 cells, you have to go to every single cell and go and change. Let's say the exchange rate is no longer 623 and it's now 625. You have to go and change it everywhere to 623 to 625. However, if you simply picked and said, Excel, divide my Naira value by whatever you find in B14, the moment you change what's in B14, it switches over. All right? Okay, so I'm going to do equals to D17 divided by B14. All right, so we can see here, okay, this is pounds, this is dollar. So let me change that. Let me change that currency quickly. In the pounds. So British pounds. All right, cool. So I just want to change the currency there. That's I just changed that very quickly. So, which was a very similar thing that I did here was, by the time I did my calculation, I double clicked and I flash filled down. All right. So if I do that here, and we're going to see what happens when I try to flash fill. So let me double click. So we can see that I'm getting an error message. I'm getting two different error messages. Does anybody want to hazard any guess? Does anybody have any idea what could be wrong? Sonia says we're converting to pounds. Okay. It has moved to B14. All right. So let me just quickly highlight. So when I double click, so remember I typed in here, I typed equals to D17 divided by B14. So when I double click, Excel does this thing where it actually highlights the cells that you had that you're putting in your formula. It actually it highlights it for you. So you can see my D17 is yellow. So I can see that this is here. B14 is purple. All right, so I mean, this is good. I got this result is fine. So I think I'm good. So let me double click here and see what is wrong here. So here, so Excel changed remember I typed D17 and B14, but Excel now moved it down to D18 and B15. D18 is correct. D18 is what I want it to be, but B15 is not because it moved it down here. So Excel is now checking for the exchange rate in B15. Let me escape and let me check the last one here. So we're having the same issue here. So it moved the numerator to D19, which is correct, but it was looking for the exchange rate in B16, which is a text. So we can see two different errors here. The first error here is I tried dividing a number by 0. So this first error here is function divide parameter 2 cannot be 0. All right, so you can see, and then here function divide parameter 2 expects number. So Excel expected me to be divided by a number. And this is I'll try to explain it as clearly as I can. When I dragged down the formula, here's what happened. Let me go back here. Here I typed C7 times B7, and when I dragged down, what flash fill does is Excel is smart enough to figure out that C7 should become C8, and you can see that it did it very well here. C7 became C8, and then B7 became B8, and then here you can see that the C became C9 and the B became B9, which is correct, which is perfect here. And when I flash filled down here, Excel tried doing the same thing. So the formula I entered was D17 divided by B14. Therefore, down here, Excel did D18 divided by B15. So it moved my D17 down once and also moved my B14 down once. And then here, it also did the same thing. It moved D18 down to B19 and then moved B15 down to B16. The problem, however, here is I need Excel to continue moving this down, but stay on B14. I don't want Excel to move B14 at all. So that is the problem we are trying to address here. And this is something that we tend to encounter a lot, and that's why referencing is very important. So what I need to do, and I could see that Bukola and someone else had actually gotten the correct answer. So what I need to do is, you see this B14, how I tell Excel that whenever you are flash filling, don't move this particular number. How you do that is you put a $sign in front of it. So if you scroll up to one of the, so Yusuf says cell B14 should be locked. So that's what we call it, locking. How do you lock a cell? There are two ways, like I said, multiple routes into the market in Excel. You can either press F4, that's function 4 on your keyboard. When you do that, it's going to lock that particular cell. or you can actually just type the $ yourself. So the $ would be the symbol that is on your number 4, the number 4 on your keyboard. So I prefer the method of just typing the $. So in this case, I'm going to type, and what I will do is I'll type the $ in front of B, and I'll type it in front of 14. Let me zoom in a little. Let me zoom in more just to be sure that you get that. So this, all right? And then I come here to in front of B and I put a $. So just put the $ and also put the $ in front of 14. What I've told Excel is whenever you're flash filling down, don't leave column B and don't leave row 14. That's what, excuse me, that's what this $ interprets into. The $ says, do not leave column B, do not leave row 14. Now, there are multiple ways to use the $. I could actually just put, if I put only one $ like this in front of 14, I'm telling Excel, you can leave, what I'm telling Excel here is, you can leave row B, but you can leave column B rather, but don't leave row 14. That's what the $ in front of only 14 means. I can change it to, if I do this, I'm telling Excel, do not leave column B, but you are free to leave row 14. So that is the explanation of this reference in here. So now, in this case, I don't want Excel to leave column B and leave row 14 because I've simply put, I know that B14 is where I am. So let me just put my $ for both of them. And then by the time when I drag down, I'm going to get my correct results because you see B14 is going to stay constant everywhere. So B14 constant. So it's not going to change no matter how much I drag it down because I have locked that particular cell referencing with the $. So the $ is a special notation in Excel and you use it in your formulas to lock. All right. So having explained this, I'm going to go back to my multiplication table, and this is where we're going to finish up. This is what we're going to finish up on. We're way past time. So let me go back to 100%. All right. So I'm guessing for some of us, when we're doing this, probably did, oh yeah, 2 times 2, 4 to 6. Did anybody do this? If you did this, please be honest. Just type in the comments that this is what I did. I just decided to type. I mean, how long is it going to take me? Ruth, are you saying that you, okay, so I think Ruth's typed, all right, great. So, I mean, that's one way, but then we did not attend this masterclass to be doing this type of long work. So what we can just simply do is, and I've added this notations for us to understand what I'm about to do. I'm going to do it in it might be very fast, but it's very easy to understand. Now, these are my first elements that I'm multiplying. They're here 2, 3, up to 12, and then up here. So I've identified the cell notation. So this number 2 here is in cell C5, right? This is C5. Number 3 here is in cell C6. Number 4 is in C7. So you can see that something is constant. And what is constant here is that they are all in column C. I mean, as you can see, this is column C. They are all in column C. And then if you look here, D4, E4, F4, G4, they are all in row 4. So I'm going to use the lock symbol that we just learned now. So I'm going to do the first one. I mean, so the idea in Excel, you do your first one, you do the hard work in the first cell, and then you replicate it into the other cell. So for this cell, I need to do the hard work. So I say equals to this multiplied by this. All right. And then I get 4. That's fair enough, right? So Here's where it now gets interesting. Remember when I was talking about, when I was saying B14 and lock and don't lock, I said that if you put a lock in front of the B, you're telling Excel, do not leave row, do not leave column B. And if you put the lock, the $sign in front of 14, you're telling Excel, do not leave row 14. So in this case, because I know that all my multipliers are in column C and they are all in row 4, as you can see, D4, E4, F4, they are all in row 4, and all these ones here are all in column C. I just come in here and I put a lock, a $sign in front of my C, and then also in front of the 4. So let me zoom. I want to zoom in. I know we may not be able to see that clearly, so let me zoom in like 200% so that you can see it clearly. So this is it. So what I did was, previously, it was just C5. What I did was, initially was, let me delete everything and then do it again. What I did initially was equals to C5 times D4. But because I know that all my multipliers are going to be in C, I don't want it to leave column C. So I put a dollar in front of, and I don't want you to leave row 4, put a dollar in front of 4. I just continue. Let me show you, before I even solve the problem, let me show you what the problem would have looked like if I did not do all this. So let's go back. So this is normal. See if this is equals, this is what maybe some of us had done, C5 times D4, and then maybe, you know, double click and drag down. So you can see the problem here. This is not what the multiplication table is. And that's because the first one was fine. It did C5 times D4. Let me zoom in a little bit to represent the right. The first one was fine, but the second one, what it did was it multiplied C6 by D5, because from the way flash fill normally works, it moves down with every cell. So what it has been doing, what the flash fill here did was, it was always multiplying the number above, instead of multiplying the numbers only in row 4. It was multiplying the number above. So that's why 12 is 3 times 4. 48 is 4 times 12. 240 is 5 times 48. 1440 is 6 times 240. So you can see, but then this is not what you want in your multiplication table. So this is wrong. And that is why it's important for you to lock. So by locking, you are saying Excel, do not leave row 4 when you're multiplying, and do not leave column C when you're multiplying. So when I do that, let me zoom out so that I can. So when I do that, double click, so you can see, yeah, this is great. This is very correct. And then when I do this, and also, so now I can drag. Now remember, you double click or drag. But in this case, I can't double click anymore because double click only works down, usually only works down. So I can drag all the way. And the moment I do this, I have my multiplication table all laid out for me. It's perfect, it's correct, and it's the way it's supposed to be. So this is a very good exercise that I think everyone should practice on their own. You can just try. At least you would know if a multiplication table is wrong. So just see how the ways to practice it. And I would also share this particular file with us so that you can see how I did it and just understand the logic. Once you understand the logic, it is very, very easy to understand. So that's what referencing is all about. There's absolute referencing, there's relative referencing. You've already learned it, all right? It's just that the terms, just the terms. Okay, back to my slides, and so that we can finish up. We've taken way more time. VLOOKUP, pivot table, if formula, absolute and relative referencing, and charts. Those are important stuff that you need to understand. Other stuff that are very good to know after you've understand those first 5. Know concatenate, know how to use the today. So today we'll pull the current day for you. Paste special, freeze pane, conditional formatting. Data validation is what I had done earlier with the checkbox and the Boolean. Then sum if and count if. So this is just a list of stuff that once you learn them in Excel, you really get to be very good, and you can kind of call yourself a data analyst. That's all, folks. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for attending. And remember, stash that cash. Invest and save today on Cowrywise. I hope I'm able to take a few questions, just to see the ones that I can answer. If not, maybe you can get across to me via mail, and I'll be able to answer that.
Thank you very much, Dolapo. That was amazing. I am sure that everyone was also glued to their chair and, just scribbling, trying to note and trying to open Excel to practice what you're saying and, come back and all that, as much as I did too. So thank you so much, guys. Let's appreciate Dolapo in the chat box. If you have any question for him on what he has explained, you can always ask, and we'll try as much as we can to respond to those that we can take now. Thank you so much, Dolapo. The appreciation is rolling in the comment section for you. If you have any question after this, we'll be happy to answer them. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sticking to the end with us, for those that stayed to the end. And for Dolapo, honestly, I don't know how you did that, but you did it. Thank you so much. This has been really insightful. It's been amazing. It's been interactive. Honestly, I haven't attended a session this interactive. I was glued to my seat all 1 hour, 30 minutes, and we are really grateful for that. So guys, that ends this session for us. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll make the video and the slides available very soon. We have your email addresses, and the video would be up on our YouTube channel. You should subscribe to Cowrywise on YouTube, and you get the video there. Thank you. Bye.